Hello everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. I see the attendees flowing in, so we'll wait for 1 more minute before we start. Okay, so let's start. So welcome everyone, welcome to today's webinar. My name is Roman Shevets and I will be moderating this session. I am responsible for the marketing on Innovatrics. The subject of today's webinar is the latest version of our ABIS product. Its version is 8.2, and we will provide a brief informational overview of the latest improvements. We will then proceed with the new enrollment identification and verification related functionalities, which are now accessible through a dedicated Android application or integrated directly into the ABIS 8.2. These will be followed by a demo of this new functionality. Just some housekeeping before we get started. The webinar will last 35 minutes approximately, and then we'll proceed with the Q&A session that will remain open until necessary. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. You can use please the Q&A functionality in the Zoom. You can find this small pictogram in your Zoom screen. And we'll be answering the questions, the easier ones, right away during the presentation, and we'll keep some of the more complicated questions for the Q&A session after the webinar. You don't need to take notes. This session is being recorded, and we'll be sending you the recording after we finish the webinar. Let me proceed with the presenters of today. So it will be Jozef Fulop. Many of you may already know him. He's solution manager in Innovatrics, and he has been working and deploying biometric solutions with some of you and your teams all around the world. To follow is Poliak. He is our ABIS product owner, and he has been a key part in all the improvements and achievements of our mentioned Android and web GUI modules that are now part of ABIS 8.2.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
Now, quickly to the agenda. As I said, we'll start with the introduction to ABIS 8.2 version, and to follow the new web and Android-based application demo showcasing 3 use cases that we identified as most interesting, to follow the Q&A session. Before we begin, because there are also some new attendees that don't really know our company, so just a few words about Innovatrics. We are an independent provider of biometric solutions for government and enterprises, and our R&D center has been pioneering biometric research since 2004. Our algorithms, thanks to this, consistently rank among the fastest and the most accurate in an independent NIST benchmarks. And in the 18 years in the market, we have built a substantial global presence, delivering more than 500 projects all around the world and benefiting more than 1 billion people worldwide. So this is all from the introduction, and I will leave you now with Jozef Fulop and his presentation.
So hello, everybody. Some of you might remember our last year's ABIS version 8 webinar. It was mainly focused to integration of our new REST API. Today, the new integration approach is already settled, I can say. So from the integration point of view, our current release does not represent such a dramatic change. However, our current ABIS release brings some improvements. So let me briefly go through the changelog and main important changes. First of all, I would like to mention that we are continuously improving and polishing the API. We are basically incorporating the feedback from our customers. So this version of our API sticks better to conventions, offers easier work with templates, and improves the reusability of requests and replies, especially when you are sending these requests in a series of transactions. In this version, we have also included the new IRIS algorithm. We have a completely new IRIS extractor and matcher, which is now also listed in the NIST IREX 10 ongoing evaluation leaderboard. And we are ranked among the top IRIS vendors. In this version, you can use with our help during the integration. You can use our new single sign-on functionality through Keycloak system. Also, in ABIS version 8.2. We have included a lot of internal improvements, which are maybe not so visible for you, but make the product more efficient and stable. I would mention the improved inter-component communication, improved stability and performance of the matching cluster. We have also a new deduplication service feature. We call it a dry run option, which is especially suitable for mass deduplication, which usually occurs after long-running migrations. We can do a dry run of several identifications and do the biometric analysis before creating the hit list itself in the system. Of course, this new version includes also some new modules. First of all, I would like to mention the investigation module, which is a module for a criminal use case. It includes a completely new graphical user interface and also API. This module will be presented later this year in a dedicated webinar. So I can disclose this information, but later this year there will be additional webinar about the investigation module. And finally, I would like to mention the new Android enrollment module, which is actually going to be presented by our colleague Peter.
Yep. Okay, then. So if there's my word, I say I quite gathered an ecosystem here, and to make it work all together, let's hope it's gonna work the way I wanted. Let me tell you something about the Android enrollment and identification and verification, which we implemented in BioScriber application. So what is Android BioScriber? We built this application from scratch. It's built on Android. It finally provides a real mobile enrollment. So that means that you can be in the field and do the whole enrollment process. And as there is a ABIS integration, the enrollee would end up in the real ABIS backend. And another reason why it is good for us to start with Android application is the customization is much easier than on the web environment. So we can deliver proof of concepts and project needs much faster with this. And also to make it work with generic Android devices, we are able to not to avoid vendor locking. So let me just jump to another one. Okay, so do we support multiple devices? Yes, we do. We on the one hand, we support consumer devices such as tablets, as I have them on the On the table here, I don't know if you can see them. It's this nice, huge one from Samsung, or even mobile phones are supported for the application, being connected with external devices. And we also do still support biometric specialized devices such as Copernic or Laxton, which is sitting here right in this suitcase. I ask you for another one. Okay. So, and what peripherals can you use? So we integrated these devices with, we started with IB, Kojak, and 5.0 fingerprint scanners. So these two are working already, and we have no problems to integrate any other. And then we were capable of integrating USB web cameras. We started with Logitech C9220 and 930E, which is this one sitting here. Recipient printer, which is in the suitcase. LOM document scanner for scanning document in enrollment kit. And then also iris scanners, such as this one. Okay. Okay. So I ask you for another slide. Yes, this is important to say. We managed to create a synergy of two products within Innovatrics, and that's ABIS and DOT. What is DOT? Maybe some of you haven't heard of DOT, which stands for Digital Onboarding Toolkit. And what they do take care about is they do remote identity verification. So the eKYC use cases, for example, onboarding to the bank as a new client and these kind of things. And what is the synergy? The synergy is that they were developing their Android libraries to auto capture the face, auto capture the document itself, which is very useful for us for national ID use cases. And they also do the NFC reading of the NFC chips of machine readable travel document zone. So this is how we started with the synergy in between the two products. May I ask you for another slide? So what's the change? On the left, you can see the standard PC enrollment. This one is quite compact because I'm using small devices, but you can imagine with huge devices, it's kind of difficult to even demo or be mobile with this. Switching to that on the right side. So that's what we got. We have just a simple tablet and the external device connected. Tablet has integrated camera, so we can capture both modalities. We can capture faces and fingerprints at a time. I ask you for another one. Okay. Oops. There's one slide missing, but let's stop talking and let's showcase a demo. Okay. So first, I will start with. Okay, we can start with you, Joshko. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So let's imitate. I need to share my screen, obviously here. Okay, you guys can see picture, I guess. So this is how the interface of the application looks like. This whole suitcase is supposed to be for delivering real mobile national ID use case. So let's try to enroll here my colleague into the system. We start with filling some personal information. For demo purposes, we have autofill function. Can continue, and now Jozef can start enrolling his right slab. Okay, so we get I need auto captures and auto segments the fingers. Can go for left one now. Hopefully you can at least see a bit. Make it up bigger. Screen. Okay, and for the thumbs. Good. Oops. A little issue we are now facing here. It's Microsoft Blue Screen of Death. So let's try to do this once again. Okay, USB camera is connected. Should be working now. Okay, let's try to do this once again. Let's do it maybe only with one right hand. So it's faster, and I can show you that you can modify the enrollment process the way you need it. Okay, so now the only requested is the right hand of the enrollee. Okay. And now, as this is assisted enrollment, I should be able just get a bit closer here. Yes, a bit far away. And now you can either auto capture if you have a good conditions, but we have shadows from the left side, or you can manually capture if the conditions are not as good as you need for the demo purposes. And then I can continue. Also, we can now scan the document. Okay, oops. Here's my little toolkit for scanning the document. Here for this one, we are using the auto capture of the documents. Hopefully there will be enough light. Okay, see, auto captured and cropped. I could go for another one. I could go out of the back side, but we're okay for this with the front side here. And Jozef, you can provide me with your signature. Okay. And now I get to the summary screen where all the data is now captured. And what I would do is I would enroll Jozef into the ABIS server. As Jozef is now enrolled to the server, he's assigned a QR code, which I can print here on the printing machine. So let's try it out. Okay, I need to, oops. Okay, yes. Okay, we managed, luckily. So now I have a QR code, this small one. And what the QR code would stand for is that when I want to check, let's say Jozef had come to ask for issuing his new ID, and he got enrolled with his new biometric data and personal data into the system. And now we issued his new ID, so I want him to come and to verify his identity. So Jozef comes. Jozef comes, and we can do this on a different device. Okay, let's try it, for example, on let's try it on this big tablet here. Okay, so I'll try to maximize the screen so we can see it better. So the use case would be Jozef had come. I would go for verification here. I'll make it big screen. We can capture his QR code. Okay, the QR code is red, and then we can identify Jozef by fingerprints, for example. Please come from the side, Jozef. Here. Okay, so there is some communication problem with this with the scanner. So let's do it via face, and then I try to make it work at the end of the session with the scanner as well. So scanning the QR again, and doing the face. Face verification. And the verification is now is in progress. And I see I get the score of the verified person. Okay, so Now, as we have verified Jozef, we could easily issue a new document to him. So this is for the Android enrollment for national ID. Okay, and then I can show you also another use case here with a different device. Okay, and with this device, we can do the simple enrollment for civil registration for voters. So this is what we can use for the registering voters in countries where there's a lack of identity cards. So what I would do, I would start enrollment on this Copernic device, which has integrated 5O scanner. Oops. Now it is set up only for the left hand, so I would go with the left hand, obviously. And in this case, the workflow is created the way that there's a pre-enrollment done. So it is checked whether this person was already enrolled within this device already. And I can see there's one person like this already enrolled, and I can decide, okay, this is the same person. I want to update the person on the server, or I would decide, no, this is not the same person. I would go for edit citizen for new enrollment. So let's do the new enrollment. I would claim that I'm not the person that was identified. And now I can auto capture myself. Okay, and continue to the summary screen where I see that everything is okay, and I would save the citizen into the system. Okay, and again, I get a receipt of QR code. This time I'm not gonna print because the printer is not connected to the device. I just can capture it on my phone and do the verification easily. But so this is a bit of different workflow with pre-enrollment, with pre-check of the pre-enrolled candidates. And the last use case I'd like to show you is that you can do the instant identification in the field. So for example, this could be very useful in law enforcement, where these devices could be delivered to the officers in the field, and they could go identify by fingers right in the field, and they go and check if the person is in their database. See, and there are 5 matches. Obviously, I've been trying this many times, so 5 matches. This was matched because of the fingerprints were done by me, and capture of the face was done by a colleague here. So, and the number of matches here on the device can be set. Then you can manage it. Many things you can manage in the settings section. You can go for fingerprints and decide how many candidates should be found. This means this would be top 5. That's why I only got 5 candidates on the list. And yep, so and to show you the final thing here is those enrollees that I have just enrolled should then land in our ABIS, right? And if I go and check this one, that's exactly the one that I have just enrolled, right? With all the hits within the system. And if I can go back, maybe we can find Jozef here. And this is Jozef. We have just enrolled today. So yes, that's pretty much it from my side. So we still have some way ahead of us, but we managed to pretty much jump from the web enrollment to full mobile enrollment, making the enrollment and identification and verification be capable of being done from any Android devices, which gives us opportunities to not to be locked to the vendors and to easy promote and sell sell our enrollment system. So that's pretty much everything from my side. Thank you for your attention. And I stop sharing now.
Okay, thank you very much, Peter. So now let's start with the Q&A session. We have answered one question in the chat. Maybe if you want to go through that also by voice.
Yes, I can. The question, thank you, by the way, for the question. The question was what I was meaning, what was the meaning of the dry run in the deduplication service scenario. So I try to explain it in more details. Maybe some of you know our functionality of registering the applicants, which basically does the creation and identification of the newly enrolled or newly created applicant directly in the system, and creating the hit lists if the identification finds some candidates above the threshold, and it creates the hit lists on the fly. So the adjudicators, operators will need to immediately resolve the hit lists. But for some scenarios like mass migration, which is or mass deduplication, which is often the case, like for example for voter registration use cases, it's sometimes good to do. So I call it dry run. It's a series of identifications, just recording the identification scores. Then the biometric expert can analyze the results, find the correct thresholds, and use the pre-recorded candidates or probe candidates pair for creating the hit lists later. So it's a good tool for doing the biometric audit, biometric analysis after the mass deduplication.
Thank you for your answer. Let's proceed with another question. Jacques is asking us if you have any plans for mobile app on Apple iOS.
For now, we are not considering Apple iOS, as there is no, we haven't registered the real demand on the market for Apple integration. But it could be, if it is driven by the project, then we could consider that.
Thank you. Another question from anonymous attendee. You support Logitech C920 and C930. Any other and newer models like Logitech Brio?
This is what we started with. So that's just a pioneer. We only started to integrate these external devices 2 months ago, and we started with these 2 devices, and then we plan to go for Logitech Brio 4K. And if there is any need specific from the market, then we can accommodate. The exercise here was if we can communicate with the USB camera whatsoever, and we started with these 2, and now it's just the options are open.
Thank you. Another anonymous question. How do you secure the communication between the mobile client and the ABIS server? All out.
Okay, basically the Android enrollment device or any mobile device or any device that wants to integrate with ABIS uses our standard, in this case, REST API, which can be secured in all conventional way, starting with HTTP authentication, and of course we can then introduce on the server side any other types of authorization. To be honest, I'm not sure if OAuth 2 is It's definitely not integrated in this Android enrollment.
Not yet.
Not yet, but if needed, it can be, of course, integrated.
Thank you, Jozef. Let's proceed with the question from Shankly. I hope I read it properly. Are there any plans to capture fingerprints using the mobile phone's built-in camera?
Actually, we had this in our roadmap, and we are considering this. If this happens, then it could be in H2, but the decision on strategic planning was this should be supported by real project need. But we have it in vision.
Thank you. Let's proceed with another question. Do you support offline mode?
Yes, for the standard enrollment, we do the, as you could see, the enrollment was done. There was a check for when you enroll the first fingerprints, then there was a deduplication check or identification check against the local database. So what basically happens is that the applicant is stored both to local storage and to ABIS. But for now, we are not implementing any smart cards or any export of the data, but it was already implemented in the past, and we can redo this work quite easily in terms of weeks, right?
Yes, in this scenario, actually, of course, the enrollees would be collected directly on the device, and then once a day, once a week, or whenever the data might be exported and sent to the ABIS server.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you just answered the following question from Jose. I believe you did answer that. If you want to add something,
I have to read it first.
Okay. Is there an offline mode in which the device could persist records and send them later or export them to other devices with transmission?
Hi, Jose. We actually had this functionality and used it in a real project. In the current demonstrated version, it's not implemented, but it's doable.
Yeah, as we started to go from scratch, we just got inspiration from what we got, and we started to build up the application from the bottom to the top. And then, if exactly these functionalities have been implemented, and we plan to extend the application as soon as they become needed again. So, but yeah, and yes, it's doable, and yes, we have experience with that.
Okay, let's proceed with a question from Eric. What info is exactly stored in the issued QR code?
It's just very simple for now. We, as the applicant is being created from the device, it gets assigned an external ID. External ID gives him an extra unique identifier to the system, and that unique identifier is being stored in the QR. So what happens when you're doing the verification is that you're verifying are these fingerprints, or do these fingerprints belong to the person with this external ID in the system. So that's one-to-one verification. And that external ID holds also the instance number. Each of these devices has instance number. So we can say that if 5 persons were enrolled from 5 different enrollment stations, that you could say that this guy, or this enrollee was enrolled from this station, this enrollee from that station, and then from that station. The information about the external ID is being stored in QR.
Thank you. Let's proceed with another one from Anonymous Attendee. The Android app deals with anomalies. Does it support sequence check, flat enrolled?
Basically, if I understand it well, the question is if during the enrollment there are any additional checks, if, for example, the enrollee reuses his finger, or if there are not switched hands or so.
It does actually. It has incorporated our SDKs, which are capable. So when I'm taking my right fingerprint, right swipe, and then the left, I would try to spoof it, given the right hand again. In real time, it is checked, and it will be fine. The duplicate fingers will be fine. I can demonstrate it if there's time.
Basically, when we are doing our enrollment, we tend to use as many checks as possible, and of course react to typical spoofs, which usually with fingers means that the enrollee reuses his fingers or uses a different sequence, tries to.
And not only this, we also do the operator enrollment check, which is from real experience from projects. We know that in some cases operators just try to make the enrollment faster, and they would enroll their hands. So the way we dealt with it, all the operators would have to be locked in with their fingerprints, and if they were trying to spoof and just to give their hands into the system to enroll, and would find out that they would not be able to continue with such a faulty enrollment. So even this check is done. Also, I can showcase.
Thank you. So another question from Neve. He's asking how many matcher need for offline mode.
I'm not sure if I understand well, but I think the question is about checking the fingerprints against the local database. In this case, I would not use the term matcher, which we tend to use in ABIS use cases. In this case, it would be just a local instance of matching, and it can operate on several thousands, maybe tens of thousands of fingerprints. Of course, depending also on how many fingers are enrolled per applicant, per user. But several tens of thousands, I would say, could be possible.
Thank you. The other question from Poliak, how to detect fake fingerprint, not live fingers? Is it normally done by fingerprint scanner with special sensor or using SDK to detect?
Well, I would say it's typically a combination of both approaches. There are scanners that tend to do the work for you, but of course also the algorithms improve over time and try to detect fakes.
Okay, let's proceed with the fakes. Another question about the deep fakes. How do you overcome deep fakes in facial liveness detection with real-time liveness checking? It's more for research, maybe?
Yes, I would say it's more for research. Basically, maybe this question is more related to our other product, DOT, and the research team that deals with facial liveness checks. What to say? Every vendor tries to improve its algorithms, and there are some contests or some evaluation processes like iBeta, which try to measure the ability of the algorithm to detect fakes, and I think we can say that Innovatrics is proud that it usually fulfills the needs of these evaluations.
Mm-hmm. As far as I know, our R&D team and DOT product, they're facing this challenge. and they've been evolving multiple ways of checking the liveness. The latest passive liveness, which doesn't even require the live checking of the video stream, but just from one picture, is being improved. And they also implemented some smile liveness. So there's still many more layers to this check. And if you check it with the other, so they call it trust factors, you can improve the confidence of that you assess the liveness with the or you haven't been spoofed. But of course, there's always a way to spoof everything if someone is very smart and clever and uses good technologies.
All right, thank you. You can find more information on our website about our liveness technology under the dot product section. Okay, another question, anonymous again. Anyhow to remove the background of the face photo and keep it white? Does Innovatrics SDK/app supports that?
Yes, as far as I know, it's part of our iFace SDK. However, the component which was now presented, which is a part of this Android enrollment, is already we call it the DOT component, which already like wraps this functionality into something more functional and does the work for you. But basically, yes, again, it's doable via some SDK.
Okay, another question from Jose. I struggle to understand, but I will read it as it is. Is it in the backlog the feature for the preload applicants in the devices in order to work offline?
I think, I don't know if I understand correctly, Jozef, maybe you can correct me. You're talking about the pre-enrollment, right? Or
yes, I think the question is whether there is a way to export yes, pre-enrolled applicants maybe from ABIS to devices based on some criteria, so that the enrollment device is already filled with some pre-enrolled applicants and then sent to the field. Is it in the backlog?
It's one of the things that was already implemented and could be re-implemented depending on the priorities that would be given by the market needs. But yes, another epic that is in our backlog sitting there for priorities and prioritization.
Thank you, Peter. Another question from Paul. At ABIS server, how Innovatrics weight the biometric data, face, fingerprint, and iris for matching?
I can answer this question. Yes, first of all, the customer or the integrator can have different licenses for matching. He or the customer might use some modality for one-to-N identification and other modalities for just as a supportive modality, which is used just in case of hit for one-to-one comparison. But of course, when in the case when there is a multiple modalities used for one-to-N matching, we usually combine the result set, the set of candidates, and the part of the API is the full information. What was the identification score for that given modality? What was the verification score for each individual modality? And then there might be some additional rules how to decide whether it's a match or not, or a no match.
Thank you, Jozef. Another question from Florent. Looks like he has experience also with our DOT product. So regarding face capture and document scanning, Is an offline mode also available, or does it require a connection with the ABIS server, or in that case, should we use the .sdk?
So I can answer this one. Face capture, it is definitely, and what I was showing was offline face capture. In the Android application, we have implemented both dot component for auto capture. We plan to use dot component for auto capture for self-enrollment, which is on our roadmap, which would be all of these use cases that I was showing were for were meant to be assisted enrollment. So we are kind of implementing more complex auto capture, evaluating ICO attributes and all this information, but is already offline. So the answer is yes, it is possible. And document capture was done completely serverless with built-in .sdk. So yes, it can be done. There is no need for connection for these functionalities.
All right. So this looks like this was the last questions we had. Maybe there's another one we received during our work, also from a customer, and we think would be interesting to answer. So I'll just ask this question, if you don't mind. Is it possible to use dot with the enrollment module, the dot product?
Basically, the answer is that this Android enrollment, which we showcased today, uses dot components inside, I would say. Yes. But there is also the approach that you start with directly with the dot and are integrated with ABIS.
Well, what we can do, what we can use dot for is definitely face capture and document capture, and OCR reading and MRZ reading from the document that can be used for enrollment, but dot does not implement any way of reading the fingerprint. So for simplified enrollment of only faces, we could consider enrollment only based on the dot components. But then, if you want to store those the enrollment and then continue with the replication and identification, that's again services of ABIS.
Okay, thank you. In the meantime, we got another question. I think this again is more for our R&D team question, but maybe you want to give your opinion on this. So how do Innovatrics SDKs handle twin personas identification?
Basically, when using fingerprint modality, it's not a problem. The problem might be with face matching. I think okay. In every vendor has some false accept ratio, and twins usually belong to this category. But still, also every vendor tries to improve its artificial intelligence, I would say, and maybe some of the SDKs are already resistant to the twin face false detection. But again, I would suggest to use the combination of multiple modalities, and as soon as there is other modality used, then it's no more a problem.
All right, thank you. So that's it. All the questions that we received, we answered them. And I want to wish you a nice rest of the day, and thank you for attending.
Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Bye.